Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to ATR's War Bedlam Meetings premier wrestling podcast covering AEW to WWE. I am Sam the SLB, future governor of NXT. Unfortunately, Scott and Ethan are not with us tonight, but I'm not solo, guys. I'm not solo. Guys, before I begin, please make sure you like, share, subscribe, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok as well. I've been pumping out shorts. I'd probably put it taller than I am at this point. I don't know. But I'm pumping them out twice a day. Go check them out. Guys, I have a very special guest, returning co-host. It's, in the words of Stained, it's been a while. That's for you, Ethan. Guys, returning, a good friend of mine, former co-host of the show. He's back with the stats. John the Statman.
Hello, everyone. Is this a return level of CM Punk at Survivor Series? Oh,
It absolutely could be. It absolutely could be.
Maybe not, but but it's good to be back. It's good to be back with you, Sam. So yeah, I'm John. I was the stat man. I guess I still am the stat man. I'm returning here with you today.
Yeah, and I know before we begin, I know you've been doing another show. Obviously not wrestling related, but I definitely want you to plug it while you're here.
Yes, so that show is fairly new and I'd say quite unique. It developed where a group of friends of mine were watching, the very notable show on Paramount, Bar Rescue with John Taffer, and we got such a kick out of watching them that we made a podcast out of it. It's called Poor Decisions, and it's like I said, it's still pretty new. We're just a few episodes in, but if you want an in-depth review of each episode of Bar Rescue, we're doing that right now. Again, it's Poor Decisions. You can find that right now. It's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts for everyone to listen to.
Yes, I've listened to the first. I got to go back and listen to a couple more. I'm consuming more wrestling than is more than my doctor would say is good to consume. I'm not like Ethan. We have this whole thing going on right now because Ethan. Let me tell you, John. I work from home and I'm watching the WWE product. I'm watching the AEW product. I'm watching New Japan. I'm watching TNA. I'm able to do that in the comfort of my, own home, on the side while I'm working. Somehow Ethan, I don't think he works from home anymore, but he's consuming at least 3 times that. And Scott and I are just like, how are you doing that? So we have the Clone Ethan 2026 campaign going on, guys. Please send us money. That is our goal. We will not stop pushing this until we get enough Ethans to cover every promotion that exists in the world. All right. I don't want to say it's been a slow week, but I think we're building up to some summer events going on. I guess I'll start off with, I don't know if you saw this, John. I've been told this report is wrong by the date, but it has been confirmed that SmackDown is going back to 2 hours. It's been 3 hours since December. Not sure if you knew that.
Yeah, yes, I did hear that as well. I saw that, when they initially did the 3 hours, I think there was eventually a plan to always go back to the 2 hours, but it was just a matter of when. I had heard, again, rumors that they were going to keep the 3 hours. Well, or maybe they just kept it longer than anticipated. But now it looks like for the summertime, I guess that they will be going back to that 2 hours. So maybe I don't know if USA Network is. It seemed like they were happy, but maybe maybe things are kind of winding down to where they feel like they're more comfortable with 2 hours.
It could be that. I did see, and I don't remember if it was, and again, I had to check a couple different sources. I know PW Insider was calling it, Wrestle News Observer, Fightful. They were all saying, I guess, actually, here it is. I got the article from the Takedown on Sports Illustrated. Variety is reporting that a new series called Rainmaker, not in relation to Kazuchika Okada, everyone's making that joke, and I just have to say it, will debut Friday, August 15th. Mike Johnson from PW Insider says the episodes of the Blue brand will return to an old 2-hour format long before then. So I think it could be a mix, John. But I'm also thinking they were doing 3 hours because was it USA? No, I'm thinking of HBO and Warner Brothers, where they were like, we're trying to get rid of scripted television, like do a little less scripted, pre um like dramas and whatnot. I think they were pushing towards more reality TV and sports. Um,
Oh,
I,
yippee!
I yeah,
Right?
this is my take here. This has been always my take, and this is something that even Scott, who's been watching wrestling, sorry Scott, longer than you and I have been around on this planet. There's something about 3 hours. If it's not a pay per view, it just feels like so much. Um, we talk about obviously the early days of AEW when it was just Dynamite. That was a good 2 hours. You got your fill, and you were excited for the next week. SmackDown, good 2 hours. When Raw, yeah, I mean Raw's been 3 hours for a long time. Even when we watched NWA Power, when that came on in 2019, it was an hour long, and it's just like this is just enough, So 3 hours seems like way too much.
3 hours, I think that's where it starts to reach. Yeah, I agree with you, Sam. Too much time. I think 2 hours for a weekly show, I think that's a good number. Pay per views are premium live events now. They're exceptions, but what I like now about those is that, I mean, not only can watch them again, just like you can watch Monday Night Raw now, and I think AEW programming as well at your own leisure if you don't have a time Wednesday night or Monday night or whatever. But they're doing premium live events on Saturdays too as well. But those are an exception because those can run multiple hours, but it's not every single week. It's a couple times a month or once a month, something like that. But I think 2 hours has always been the ideal amount for weekly television, and I don't think it should be. Once it starts to reach more than that, it's tough to watch in one night, especially getting if you're getting up there in age.
Well, yeah, that's the joke. Especially, okay, they've moved WrestleMania, they've moved pay per views to either Saturday or they're 2 nights and they end by 11.
Yeah.
Okay, fair. But if it's a Monday night and Raw's going till 11, 11, and that we're on the East Coast. I mean, if you're on the West Coast, oh, good for you. What does that end?
So that
Eight
would end
o'clock.
like 8 o'clock. Yeah.
You got your whole night ahead of you. You know.
Yep.
Um, but especially when you have multiple programs. I mean, WWE has currently 3 programs a week. You got NXT, Raw, and SmackDown. And actually, this will kind of segue into the other thing I was going to bring up. Conan was just interviewed after their Worlds Collide event, and he was told, he goes, basically, WWE wants us to get a TV deal. So if you're that dedicated, yeah, so AAA, they really want them to get on TV for weekly television. So if you're not watching LFG or Evolve or Level Up, maybe you are. But now you got AAA to worry about if you're really into that. Two
I
hours is
think
just
what
the
they
sweet
should
spot.
do, in my personal opinion, with AAA, they just acquired them like not too long ago, and
Yeah.
they just held that joint event. So I think, I mean, the WWE is just a money machine right now. But if I were them, I would wait a little bit on something with TV with AAA, because I think, well, like that event that just happened, like that was brand new to, like, it was a lot of it was brand new to the American audience, like Mr. Iguana and like Psycho Clown and all these, wrestlers or luchadors that the American audience has not seen before. So I think we need a little bit more time with events like joint events like that before the idea of weekly television is a thing. But I mean, that's just one man's opinion. I'm just a small town bird lawyer.
No, I think I'm with you on that because I think that's a complaint that a lot of, especially AEW, they've gotten better with this. But I remember early on, people would complain often. These people would show up. I will use the Dark Order when Stu Grayson and I can't think of his name, Evil Uno
Evil
showed up.
Uno. Yep.
I remember you and I were just like, all right. Like and there
Like,
was really no backstory. They were just there. You're like, okay,
yeah,
cool. And at this point, 4 or 5 years down the road who they are. But you definitely should kind of introduce the audience to who these people are. Kind of like you can do vignettes, maybe you do a TV deal and then you go, hey, we're going to have these specials where we're going to cover this talent and who this talent is and what's been going on. Because the other thing too is, if I'm not mistaken, AAA does not do English commentary as of Worlds Collide.
my knowledge is limited with them, but I think you're right there. I don't think they do because the ring announcer was all in Spanish, from what I recall.
Prior to that, yeah. Well, even the ring
Yeah.
announcement, but the commentary team on Worlds Collide, it was Conan and it was Corey Graves.
Yes.
Um,
Conan.
so, and I'm looking, yes, it does have English commentary, particularly for major events like Worlds Collide. That's not what I asked. English commentary for select events, often provided by WWE personnel. That does not answer my question.
Well, I think unless it was an event in the United States like that was in Los Angeles. I'm pretty
Yes.
sure that event that just happened. So I think like stuff for that they would have English commentary, but probably prior to that they probably weren't. If it was just in Mexico, if I were to guess.
Yeah, and that's what I'm looking up because I remember watching, and it's funny, I had to go looking because AAA was very. This is the thing with Mexican wrestling, the lucha wrestling out of Mexico. To find any promotion in Japan, it's so easy. You hop online, you find a streaming service, boom. CMLL and AAA are very hard to come by for some reason. Don't know why.
That's interesting. I don't know if they just haven't dipped their toe into what the Japanese promotions have been doing. Like New Japan has their own streaming service. I remember you subscribed to that like way back, and I said,
Mhm.
"Oh, I didn't know they had that."
Yeah.
um, but
Um,
it seems like the Mexican promotions not that they were struggling, but they really wanted to take advantage of going into the United States. Like we just saw CMLL and AEW have a joint event, and then we saw WWE and AAA have a joint event. So it seems like they want to branch out more.
yeah, and we'll use that as our lead into Grand Slam Mexico,
Yeah.
because it's interesting, and I don't know if it's a cultural thing. I don't. Whenever we talk about like WWE, like going through the states or going through North America, it's always Canada and the US. If they're in Toronto, it's like, oh yeah, they're practically in the US. Like, no offense to
Yeah.
Canada, but it's like, oh yeah, it's like whatever. Sure, they got the work visas and whatnot, but Mexico is almost treated internationally, and I feel like,
Yes.
and I don't know how far Mexico City is from the border, but I feel like there's definitely plenty of opportunity, especially with AAA being acquired, where you could spend a lot of time in Mexico. Um, it's on the same continent. It's only a border. It's only just south of us. And the crowds, and I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I think like CMLL, I think wrestling is pretty old over in Mexico. Like CMLL is like I think the oldest promotion on the planet, or the second oldest. Um,
Yeah.
CMLL is the oldest professional wrestling promotion still in existence.
Wow. Wow, I mean, they have that. That's their own. Where they just had that Grand Slam. That's their own arena. Like that belongs to them, and that's where they run all of their events, pretty much. And Mexico City, it's not like smack dab in the middle of the country. It's more south,
Mhm.
like probably, like pretty much like I'm trying to think of that country that borders it. Like I think probably closer to like Guatemala than probably the U.S.
Yes, and I'm looking at that right
Yeah.
now. But they love it. Okay, this is the thing.
Yeah.
I think for positives, because I know we're going to get into some critiques here on Grand Slam. Um, Worlds collide, and I know it was in LA, but LA does have a strong Spanish community.
Yep.
LA, Worlds collide, and even this, the crowd was eating it up. In specifically AEW, where they do have a lot of high flyers. They're not like a Haas promotion, if you will. They were thriving down there during that show.
Both of these shows did excellent as far as like crowd like participation, and this is not it's not I think what they both found is it's not in pretty much all of the US. It's not, I don't want to say it's oversaturated is the right word, but Mexico is kind of like uncharted territory for I think these wrestling promotions right now. And I think what they want to do is they don't want to don't that's where I'll use it. Don't oversaturate it. Don't end up like going to Canada for the 1,000th time or whatever. They got to be careful with this.
Yeah, but I think if you're dealing with in just kind of like the final point here with AAA, I mean they are a WWE, a TKO company now, so
Yeah.
they can dip their feet into this a lot more, and they will. Um, and I really liked it, and I'll get into more about the crowds later on when we wrap this up. But overall, well, let me ask you, because John, it's been a minute, and I know you haven't watched
Yeah.
AEW in a hot minute, and I want your full honest opinion because I know you have your critiques. What was your full honest opinion of Grand Slam?
So yeah, so this is the first AEW programming I've watched in at least over a year.
Mhm,
I've listened to more people talk about it than I have watched it, as you know
mhm.
probably. Honestly, I turned it on. I forgot it was in Mexico. I forgot all about the Grand Slam and everything like that. I turned it on. I was impressed by the stage, by the setup, by the audience. I said, "Wow!" I said, "Visually," I said, "This looks fantastic." I said because they've gone somewhere that they haven't been before. So
Mhm.
the audience was craving it and they were eating it up. So honestly, like I'm not a huge fan, as like many people probably know, of like some of the people on there right now and like how it's been, maybe the last year or so. But honestly, Grand Slam Mexico was, I thought it was actually pretty decent just right off the bat.
Yeah, they have improved recently. I know, the Dynamites they can go up and down. Um, they do have definitely segments from like, what are you doing here? What's going on?
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
I mean, I think a big talking point, and you and I brought this up because some people come out when they're in a foreign country, they might say hello in that nation. Hangman Page comes out and has a whole promo in Spanish.
That I'm not a big. He's one of the people. Old Hangnail. I'm not a big fan of him because of stuff he's done in the past. But for him to cut an entire promo in a language that's obviously not his first language, yes, I thought that was impressive. And Sam, I didn't tell you this yet, but I consulted an expert on this promo.
Ah,
I sent it to my mother, and I asked her. I said, "How's his Spanish?" And you know what she said?
what?
She said it was excellent. There was one thing there was one part of it, one word he didn't get quite right, which she told me. I forget what it was, but she told me, and she says other than that, he was like spot on with his Espanol.
Yeah, that's awesome to know. That's because again, people come in, they say Kenny Omega is like the one of the exceptions. He goes to Japan and he's fluent in Japanese. So
Mhm.
this shocked me, but I thought it was a cool way to open the show. really get the crowd involved because it's like, oh, yo, they're
Yeah.
just not American wrestlers over here, not Canadian, or we're gonna show you that we're doing more than that. But um, one of my biggest things, and this is with any promotion, I don't know if you're like this, John, and I understand why they did this because they were doing a 2.5, I think it was 2.5 hours actually. Um, I do get irritated with these huge multi-man tags.
Yes. What was it, 14-man tag match or something? Honestly, Sam,
Mhm.
I lost track. Well, especially with the luchadors, I didn't even know who some of the people. I was losing track of who was on whose team and like who was who as far as a luchador
Mhm.
goes. And I agree. I was like, I can't keep track.
Yeah, I was
And then they
looking.
had another one.
Mhm. Yeah, they had the 14-man.
They had a 14-man tag to
Mm,
start off the night, and then their main event was another
10
multi-man tag match. I'm like, Jesus.
It's funny because I thought it was 2 hours. I didn't realize it was 2.5. I shut it off after the women's match. Um, yeah, I get it because you want to get everyone their time on TV overseas. I get that. I don't know. I thought it was weird to end with a 10-man tag. Now I'm looking at it. Um, I
Yeah.
was I was shocked that Mercedes Monet won their title because she has what 7 belts at this
Oh,
point.
oh my God. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, Mercedes Moan with her 7 or 8 titles or whatever she has. I'm like, good Lord. it's
And supposedly, I don't know how true this is. Again, I'm just this is a rumor, so don't quote me on this. Rumor has it that not only is she champion, obviously has she all these championships, but she has full creative control of her character over in AEW right now.
Yes, and she apparently she has an assistant for that, and she has this. Did you see she's doing that texting thing where she's apparently it's her personally chatting with her fans, and they pay like $100 a text or something ridiculous like that.
I think I saw that. Yeah,
And her Monet Mag or whatever she's doing. I mean, they're just giving her money. Like Tony Khan is just putting money on her lap.
she. I mean, she has a name. That's. I think that's whether she's actually bringing people in. I don't know. I don't know what the numbers are like with her. Whether she's actually. I don't dislike her character. I think she's grown on me a little bit. The only thing I hate, and I'll tell you, John, her theme song is disgusting.
Yes, the CEO chants or whatever that they're piping in there, and it try to make it sound like the crowd's saying it when I don't think they actually are. But yeah, that song, that song sucks. I agree with that.
Yeah, I am just so, and it's funny. We have to have you back on a couple more times because let me tell you, I don't bitch about a lot. I try to be constructive and kind of look at things and be like, okay, what did I like? What could be better? I just cannot stomach this song. It's just garbage. It's like Def Rebel garbage. Like,
Oh, don't you worry, Sam. I'll be the bad cop of the show if you want me to.
oh, I know you had your gripes with this. Um, Overall, I thought this was one of their better shows for the year. Um,
I agree. This was good for something I have not watched in a while. This was actually overall this wasn't this was actually good, I think.
yeah, I mean, again, this they've been doing. I don't know where you've been with this, but the past couple of weeks with the NBA and the NHL playoffs, they've been doing 4-hour shows because they're doing
Mm,
Dynamite and Collision back to back, which is sucks because it's 4 hours, but it's awesome because I mean I don't have to wait on Saturday to watch Collision. So
that's a lot of wrestling.
it is a lot. It is a lot, but I don't know. I'd be curious to see what you think next week when we're back to a regular episode of Dynamite. Is it a regular? I would assume so. No, because it's this week's is going to be, I think, a regular episode of Dynamite. So I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on that when that happens. But I actually would like to I'm actually kind of curious. What were your negative takeaways on this one?
Boy. So I think one of the matches that did not sit well with me, maybe this will surprise you,
Hmm.
was Mystico versus MJF.
Hmm.
I thought the finish of this was rotten.
You know,
um,
you're not the wrong. I'll let you finish, but
yeah. So, well, what I was going to say is that so MJF oh no, so Mystico gets his submission on MJF, right? And MVP's distracting the ref. MJF is tapping, so ref doesn't see it. Fine. And so Mystico lets the submission go, and the ref is still distracted by MV. I don't know if it's either might be MVP or another member of the Hurt Syndicate, and MJF gets a low blow on Mystico.
hmm.
Goes for the pin. 1, 2, kicks out. Mystico kicks out. And then MJF, I think he kicks him in the balls again, this time in front of the referee, and the referee calls for the disqualification. So what I'm trying to like understand the booking of that, because I get you probably didn't want to beat Mystico in his home country because he's a big guy over there.
Hmm.
But and then everybody came out and the uh, uh, Kevin Knight and then the other guy, I forget his name. Uh, I just know his nickname, Hong Kong Fooey.
Oh, Steve Mike Bailey. Yeah.
Mike Bailey, yeah, and everybody just came out, and it was just it was a big old mess, and I thought that finish was not good.
Yeah, I was. It's funny because I get MJF's character. I want to preface with that. I don't really care for
That
DQ finishes.
that part I agreed with. Well, with MJF, even though the people have been kind of cheering him the last few weeks because he wanted trying to get his foot into the Hurt Syndicate, and now
Mhm.
he's in another country, and I get that he had to be the heel for this, and he embraced it like he does. He does a good job of that. So that I thought was fine. I just thought the finish was just ugh,
I think
no.
you could have gotten away with it if they kicked out the Hurt Syndicate and then he still did it. And I think the other thing that was confusing with it is we already talked about we had a 14-man tag, we had a 10-man tag. And all of a sudden, for a moment, honestly, for like 2 seconds, I was like, wait a minute, do we have another multi-man tag going on right now? I got super confused. I was just like,
Eh, just a bunch of people running in.
yeah. Um, I will say I agree with you. I didn't wait like the way that one finished, but who knows? Maybe they handle it over in so all in Texas in a few weeks, a month.
Maybe,
Maybe they
yeah.
rematch and then it's clean. I don't know. Were there any other ones that stuck out?
Um, everything. I think one thing that I hope comes to an end soon is this stuff with Moxley and the what are they, the Death Riders now,
Hmm.
and he carries around this briefcase or whatever. I think this he John Moxley as champion right now is hurting them bad. I think it looks like Hangman is going to be the one that is going to end it potentially, which not super excited about a possible title run, another title run for him. But Moxley just he shouldn't be champion anymore.
Yeah, yeah, I can see the argument there. I know a lot of people, and I like Mox. I just don't know. I'm shocked that they've had him have the title this long, because I'll tell you right now, it took me. I forgot he was champion because it's been in a briefcase, and you're
Well,
like, all right, who's the champion right now? Oh yeah, Moxley.
well,
It's in a
well,
brief.
even last week, or I think maybe it was the week prior, Will Ospreay he put his foot in his mouth during a promo and said he was talking about Moxley, and he said, "Oh, you're the reason." I'm paraphrasing here, but you're the reason AEW sucks right now. And you can see you can see Osprey's like. reaction, like really quick after he said that. He's like, "What did I just say?" But he's right.
Yeah. I think once Hangman gets it, because this is the thing. I think Hangman's the guy to do it. And I think you have a couple other people lined up after him. I think personally, Swerve needs to be champion again. Swerve for me is also so over, and he's just so good. His promos are good. He's good in the ring. And he needs a better title run. I think we had this discuss. I think this is where you maybe have fallen out because he was champion and it was kind of like, well, his title run's kind of like, eh. And then Will Ospreay's also up there. So those are the two guys I see, once Hangman does that. And Moxley, he's been with the company since day one. So let him have a vacation. Long vacation.
Osprey. See with Osprey, I see what they're doing here. They're milking it for him because he's probably going to end up winning the title in his home country, which is I think later this year. I think August or something like that. They're having an event in London.
Oh yeah, Forbidden Door.
Oh, Forbidden Door. That's right. Yeah. So that will probably be when they'll pull the trigger on that.
August 24th. So we're thinking maybe a short title run?
Probably for if Hangman dethrones Moxley, that's a big if because I don't know if Moxley he's tough to deal with. I'm sure, uh, but I think they have to put it on Osprey. Osprey to me is he's the one. He hasn't had the world title yet. I think you put it on Hangman. I think you kind of get like that sour taste from his previous run. So I mean, maybe it would be fine if it was brief, but I think inevitably it needs to end up just on Will Ospreay. Just I believe.
Yeah. I think those three will get it. And I'll be curious to see how it plays out. Obviously we have July is when what's it called happens. All In,
All
Forbidden
in,
North
yep.
in August. All Out is I think after that September 20th, and that's in Toronto. Do we have a Canadian we can give the belt to if we're gonna play hopscotch with the belt?
I'm sure with their how packed their roster is and how infrequently they update it on their website. I'm sure there's a Canadian on there somewhere.
It'll be Christian Cage or something like that. So yeah. So that being said, I was actually kind of looking for the ratings. I was kind of curious how this did. Always curious. It does suck because you can never find the max numbers. I've seen with the max numbers that they've actually increased viewers, but they won't say how many. Because I think with max and it on television, I think it's doing like the same it was doing before it was max and stream when it was just on TV. I still think it's doing pretty decent, but I was kind of curious about that. But you know what? Let's hop over to the E for a minute. Hello, E. Want to talk about I don't want to say a big return. Depends on who you talk to. If you guys didn't watch Raw this past last week. Forget I'm dropping this on Monday. I'm talking like it's obviously Jey Uso dropped the title to Gunther, and now Gunther is next or last. We don't know. Goldberg came out, challenged him, or I don't know if I have to go back and rewatch the promo, but pretty much he's going to be taking on Gunther in Atlanta, supposedly his retirement match for the title.
Yes, so Saturday night's main event. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was the rumor going into it that Goldberg would be making his return, and I could see it just from his age, and that this probably will be his last match. And I'm excited for it because Gunther is one of the guys that's excellent right now.
Yeah, I think so. I've just been a fan of his for a very long time, and take away what has transpired, with him losing it to Jay and now him winning it back to Jay. I think if you were to pick an opponent that wasn't Braun Breaker, because Braun would have been my other choice, Gunther is the one that makes sense.
Gunther, yeah, it makes sense because I think Gunther he'll be safe. Goldberg, I think, probably won't worry about getting hurt going against Gunther. The person that Goldberg has to worry about hurting him is himself. Don't Hopefully he doesn't knock himself out before the match like he did with the Undertaker in Saudi Arabia.
Well,
Just
yeah, it's funny because I did see that. I just totally blanked. My girlfriend just texted me.
oh, hold on.
Yeah, I did see some people spreading a rumor that and they got the timeline. Like, oh, I think he's gonna win the title and then go to Night of Champions and wrestle somebody for it. And everyone's like, this is happening after Night of Champions. I don't know what
Yes.
you're talking about.
I don't see Gunther, excuse me. I don't see Goldberg going to Saudi Arabia.
I didn't notice anything. He does look older, clearly. He's 58. He did look a little rough walking out to the ring.
A little bit. I mean, but he said, I think leading up to that Monday Night Raw, he said he was hurting him, like he was getting hurt, like just from training.
Mm-hmm.
Was his claims. So yeah, so he's going to be working as little as possible, probably leading up to this match.
Yeah, I don't even see him doing like a warm up.
No, maybe a spear, to some security guards, maybe. But I think that'd probably be it.
Yeah, I mean, who knows how many appearances that he does?
I think he's due to be on at least every Monday Night Raw, leading up to Saturday night's main event. I think.
Yeah, okay. So he's booked. All right. Well, we'll see what
Yeah.
happens. I'm surprised he's not
Yep.
on John Cena's list for retirement appearances. Yeah, that's one I wanted to ask you about. Have you been following the WWE product and what Cena's been doing?
I have, yes.
What do you, I want your honest thoughts on this because I know Scott and we are very different from the rest of the IWC.
So what John Cena turning heel when he did was huge. That was a
Mhm.
big thing. I think what ruined it essentially, or what has really brought it down, was having The Rock and Travis Scott involved with it, because now it's not even being acknowledged. Like it didn't it. I don't think that part of it was needed at all. But The Rock, I think that's kind of why he's gone right now. Not that he's doing, the next big blockbuster, which, I'm sure he is, but it's that I think the wrestling community, they don't want to see him right now.
No.
It just didn't make his involvement in that John Cena heel turn just doesn't make sense now. It's a head scratcher, and I think the wrestling fans, they don't forget things. Um, so I think right now with what's happening with John Cena is that it's that moment. While it was a big moment, that stuff that was happening with it is kind of in the back of people's minds, and it's in the back of my mind, honestly, when I watch him now.
Yeah. So it's funny. I almost forgot about that because I think for me, when I take that away, because I think we were talking about everyone wanted new music, everyone wanted to see like Cena, do something different, and he's coming out and he's just like John Cena in black and white, the belt's around his back, and he said it. He goes, "You guys deserve nothing." And for me, Scott and I were just eating it up. We're just like, we do deserve nothing. This is great. You expect this big send off, and no, you've been an asshole to me for the past 10, 15 years. You're not getting anything. So from my perspective, and I can see where that gets awkward when you go back and look at the Rock segment, the Travis Scott segment. But I think what he's doing up until this point, his promos are fire.
Yes.
I'm going to come out with minimal stuff and I'm not changing anything for you guys. This is about me, and I'm going to leave with this title, and then you will no longer have a belt.
He's a great talker. There's no question about that. His ring work right now, it's definitely not what it used to be. It seems like he's really playing it safe, with his retirement and with his winding down, that he doesn't want to get hurt. So like when I watched him when he was wrestling R-Truth the other week, it just seemed to me like he knew working with R-Truth that he would be safe. He probably wouldn't get hurt because R-Truth has been in the business for a long time too. That's what I see as a downside too with him on the mic. It's like you don't forget it. Like when you hear him talk, you listen. His ring work right now is he's being careful, and it's obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think when I think about, he's told what dates he's going to appear, and not all of them he's wrestling, which I think is fair.
Yeah.
You don't want to destroy your farewell tour with an injury.
Yes.
So, I don't know. I figured I would ask you.
But he got CM Punk to agree to go to Saudi Arabia.
I do like the realism in that, because I know CM Punk a long time ago said that. I think he's with all the rights, like what everyone has an issue with.
The blood money.
The blood money. Yeah, we call it Saudi blood money every time a Saudi pay-per-view comes on. I like how he's brought that realism into it. It's like, you're going to be a hypocrite and I'm going to make you I don't know. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Some of the work he's doing. And then, CM Punk going along with it. Just everything about this. But we'll see. We have till, I think Scott wants to get tickets to the Boston show. I think the Saturday main event in Boston that's going to happen is his last show.
Yeah, that'd be good. I would consider joining Scott for that.
Yeah, it would be a awesome event.
Yeah.
But I think that's all I had for the week. I don't know if you had anything else on the docket. We're coming close for time here.
Those are the big things. Usually there's something outside of the ring going on sometimes in the wrestling world. Not much this week. It was really in the ring. I guess I think we covered it.
All right. Well, before we sign off, John, why don't you tell people where they can find you at?
All right. So, well, I'm not on Twitter or X or whatever it's called now, Twix, right now. Maybe I'll get back into that. You can find me right now. My new podcast going right now with a group of friends of mine. It's called Poor Decisions. If you want to hear my insights on all things bar rescue and all that, that's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts right now. Check that out if you'd like. That's where you will find me. You'll hear me and you will find me.
And guys, you can find me at the SOB official. I handle the Bedlam Media X account at media_Bedlam. We are on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Like I said, guys, we are pushing 300 on TikTok within 2 months. I'm pretty proud of that accomplishment. We are on all streaming platforms. You cannot find us on there. Please let us know. We'll put ourselves on there. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, leave a review. Tell people why Above the Ring and Bedlam Media is the podcast if you're choosing, and why they should listen to us as well. John, it's been a pleasure. We're going to do this again soon. And we're out of time. Guys, As always, do not forget to join the Bedlam. And Ethan's words, thanks, guys.